In 1977, I was 3 years old. One of my most vivid memories of that time is going to the drive-in with my parents. I do not know whether my parents intended to bring me with them, but this night changed my life forever. That's because we saw a new movie called Star Wars. Luke Skywalker became my hero that night. I was Luke for Halloween the next several years. When they eventually came out, I got the action figures and would play with them for hours. In my imagination, Luke would take me on countless adventures. What George Lucas created became a cornerstone of my life. I loved everything related to Star Wars. I had a deep respect for him and what he had created. So much so that when I received my recruitment packet from USC and saw that he was an alumnus, that clinched my decision to attend the university that he had graduated from. When I got older and had my own money to spend, I would buy anything I could. I purchased every video format as it came out. The several versions released on VHS and DVD became part of my library. I watched the special editions. I bought figures and merchandise. Every novel that came out was bought and read by me as soon as it was released. I read the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn while I was a student at USC in the early 1990s. I became well versed in the lore and developed a deep appreciation for the universe that George Lucas had created, and then allowed other creative people to play in as well. When my children were born, they were all introduced to this universe, and they enjoyed it as well. It is something that could have been shared with my grandchildren someday. What George Lucas created is a multi-generational phenomenon. Now we come to what is happening today. When the people in charge of a project under the label of Star Wars come out and say that it is time to move away from what George created, that is a concern. When people in charge of a project say that George is not the expert on Star Wars, that concern grows. When the people in charge of a project say they are going to fundamentally transform the Force, I am out. The project that is connected to these comments is The Acolyte. I have no desire to see this series because they have admitted that what they have made is something that is not the George Lucas brand of Star Wars that I've enjoyed. I've given Kathleen Kennedy brand of Star Wars the benefit of the doubt for years. But I'm done. I paid for and watched The Force Awakens in the theater at least 6 times. I watched Rogue One and enjoyed it. That all changed with The Last Jedi. When I walked out during the end credits, which I never do, I was wondering how they could have made a Star Wars movie that I did not like. I loved the prequels as much as the original trilogy. That's how much I loved Star Wars movies. However, after the insults hurled by Kennedy film employees and aimed at people that did not like The Last Jedi, I skipped Solo. Apparently enough people did that it ended up losing a ton of money. Then we move on. Things like the middle arc of the final season of the Clone Wars, The Book of Boba Fett, the Kenobi series, and Season 3 of The Mandalorian were all a farce. I did not even go to see Rise of Skywalker in the theaters. I waited until it was on streaming, and I regret wasting my time watching it then. I will no longer waste my time or money on the Kathleen Kennedy brand of Star Wars. It is material made by people that do not know or respect George Lucas's Star Wars, that is made for people that did not like what he made. It stars people that think Anakin blew up the Death Star. Characters saying things demonstrating no understanding of the IP, like, it is not about good or bad. It is about power and who is allowed to use it. It features wire fu and resembles the Matrix more than anything Star Wars. The people in charge even went so far as to cast Trinity actress Carrie-Anne Moss as a Jedi Master that will, spoilers, probably die in the first episode and then appear in flashbacks for the remainder. Or maybe even reappear as some kind of twist later on. Regardless, this is more bait and switch storytelling and trick casting. Adding to the dumpster fire are the recent comments by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland, preemptively attacking fans. You know, the paying customers, for not liking their show because they are ists and phobes and bigots. We have been told that if we do not blindly accept whatever slop is released, we are bigots, and that it wasn't made for us anyway. That's fine. I'll pass on this too. My question is, why does Disney allow their employees to insult paying customers? Why has Bob Iger allowed this travesty to continue for this long? When will he do what he knows must be done and purge Kennedy film of Kathleen Kennedy, her acolytes, and the totality of her influence? When will they go scorched earth on the studio and restore Lucasfilm by only rehiring competent people loyal to the vision of George Lucas? Here's a suggestion. Hiring people that draw red X's over Luke Skywalker's face is a big mistake. Maybe you should get George back to reestablish the studio in the way that he would run it, with people that would do what he would in his style, following his vision. You know, the kind of Star Wars that made Lucasfilm worth the billions of dollars that Bob Iger paid for it. I will not watch this misguided show. Any quote-unquote hate views will make them think that the viewership numbers validates them producing more of this type of garbage. The only way to send the message that they need to change their ways is by completely cutting them off and giving them no more of our time and money. I've heard the saying, even bad Star Wars is better than no Star Wars. I could not disagree with that more. Bad Star Wars is just bad. Why should we have to settle for poor quality product just to have something new? I have all of my old stuff that was made by Lucas and the real Lucasfilm. You know, real Star Wars. I can live off of that and not spend any more of my money on garbage tier products made by Kennedy Film and pushed out by Disney. If you feel that I make some points that you agree with or can empathize with on some level, please hit subscribe, like, and feel free to share this video. Please leave a comment below because I would love to have a meaningful conversation about this with anyone, whether they agree with me or not. Until next time, please stay safe, take care of one another, make the world a better place, and may the Force be with you always.